How's it going, YouTube? It's Weston's Toys and Collectibles, and today we're taking a look at the new Age of the Primes Commander Class Silverbolt. And oh my gosh, this guy. First off, let's just take a minute to admire this Concord mode. It looks pretty good. It is taking a lot of creative liberties, and you know it's not as slender. Obviously, you got a whole robot under here. It's not as slender as a real Concorde jet, but they've done a really good job getting everything to fit in here without making the wings too bulky or making anything else like really too bulky, except for obviously the bit of robot underneath here kind of folded up in a block, which isn't the worst we've ever seen. You do get the combiner head right here, which is kind of meh as well, but yeah, this just looks really good. In the instructions, it tells you to leave these folded in, but I think that looks, I don't think that looks good. I like to have the wingtips folded out. So yeah. So with him in the box comes this little blaster here, which is his handgun that Silverbolt uses. It's pretty well detailed. It's all sculpted in black. It's got a 5mm post here, and then a tab here. We'll look at the tab in robot mode, but for vehicle mode, you just plug this in underneath the fuselage here, and it plugs in nice and securely. And there he's got an undermounted blaster. Not bad. The other thing he comes with is all of this. And this is basically the entire combined mode. This is the equivalent of the trailer that came with Motormaster. So, the arms, legs, and then the torso of the combiner are all here, as well as the combined mode rifle, which is transformed into this, into this bit here. Yeah, this is pretty cool. It's just a big heavy block, for this mode. But I like to think of this as like a, for space travel or something. So to combine it with the jet mode here, we're going to lift the wings up. And you want to make sure these tips are out. And then you can go ahead and split the tail fin as well. And then these red clips are going to clip over the thighs. And so they'll just slide on like that, and it clips in very securely. But to secure it even further, there's a slot here, and a slot here. They'll plug into a tab here, and a tab here on both sides. So that'll come down, tab that in nice and securely. Locks in very well. And there is the entire jet with the combined mode thing here. So I like to think of this as like a space travel mode. You can fold up these landing gear. The landing gear are cool because this one folds up into the back of the combined mode head, and then these two are just the hip skirts. So works pretty well. So yeah, the block keeps him off the ground. So yeah, I like this. I think it looks like a really cool like space travel mode. It's a nice flat plane on top, and then the back is just Superion's crotch and belly, but just pretend like these are like some thrusters or something. Yeah, I don't know. You can use your imagination. That's what toys are for, using your imagination. But what's really cool is when you open up this tail fin here, it's kind of got a sculpted like deformed Autobot logo here. There's some bits of it that show in jet mode, so I was tempted to paint that, but with the bits that would show in jet mode, I don't think it's worth it. But it does look cool, how it's sculpted there. It's not just a flat plane. Yeah, so that's the incorporation of the combined mode parts in jet mode. We'll go ahead and take this off and set it to the side now. And we'll take a bit of a closer look at the jet itself. There's a lot of panel lining all over the wings, all over the body, as well as all these gold windows all the way down the length of it. Couple doors sculpted in here, the cockpit of course. It does do the Concorde thing where the nose will fold down a little bit. I think they use that to decrease speed. Either that or increase speed. I'm not sure. I don't know a whole lot about the Concorde. But it's pretty cool that it does that. You got nice Tampograph Autobot insignias here on the wings as well. So that's really nice. Just a lot of molded detail all along the whole thing. We'll flip these landing gear out because we can do a couple quick size comparisons with the other aerial bots that are out so far. So here is Air Raid, and here is Slingshot. And we've already looked at these guys here on the channel. These guys are really cool. I'm glad we're getting a new Superion because the Combiner Wars was really showing its age. So these guys look really good. They're not burdened by the combine mode because they're really just they just really slap onto the combine mode. They look really good by themselves. They don't have the big block in the middle of their chest. So, you know, I like that they're making a new Superion that's not beholden to being a combiner. You can display it as separate robots if you wanted, and they still look fantastic. So yeah, I think that's about it for jet mode. So now we can go ahead and take a look at the transformation to robot mode. So we'll remove the gun and then fold up these landing gear. And first place we want to start is fold this nose cone down so we can get under here and pull up this. I've seen something, I think I saw something where somebody like fit a Titan Master in here laying down. I don't have any readily available right now, so I'm not going to try that, but I think it looks about the right size to fit a Titan Master if you wanted to do that. But yeah, fold the nose cone in and close that up. We're going to come back here to the tail and we're going to lift it on this double hinge, and we'll make sure to lift it and push it forward like that. That way it gets out of the way of what we're doing here. Now we're gonna unlatch this. There's a couple tabs, a couple slots, but then we want to disconnect it from the robot or the combined mode head, and bring this back. And it's on a double hinge assembly, but this top part is also on a swivel. And I don't know why this is on a swivel. There's no real need for it to be on a swivel. There's nothing in the instructions that talk about why it's on a swivel. It just is. And I don't know if that was just to, in case it comes disconnected or something. I really don't know. It kind of baffles me. I don't understand why they did this here, but it's all right. Because yeah, it doesn't fit down like that. So the only way it fits is, in its designated configuration. So that'll clip into place right there, and then there's a clip here, and there's two tabs that go into the slots here. And so that's the that's basically that folded up, and then the wings will fold back, and you'll fold these tips in. Same on this side. And that's the entire backpack. And really the entire jet actually transformed. The rest of it is just this block of robot mode. The entire jet is really contained on his back, which, I mean, that's just a common thing for Silverbolt. But moving to the front here now, I'm going to go ahead and pull this out. And the arm goes into the leg, so that's pretty cool. But we're going to straighten this out, and straighten the ankle out, and then flip this out for the heel spur, and then rotate. And we're going to repeat that on this side. So you just pull this out carefully, and then straighten out the leg and orient it properly. You do want to be mindful these antennas are just on a little tiny port here. I think it's like a 3mm port. So they do come off. so you want to be careful with those. But these are like a little bit softer, so that I don't think they'll break. But when we're going into putting the head in here, you'll see where it could be a little bit alarming. So what we're going to do is open up the chest here, and just like on Menace or on Motor Master or whatever, the robot head stores inside, and then the combined mode stores inside in robot mode. So I'm going to flip out this robot head, and then flip out the arms. And then there's a tab here on the front, and you want to make sure that it kind of sits in the little notch back here. There's a notch on the double hinge attached to the tail fin, and so you want to make sure that this goes into that notch. And so there it is, and it sits all the way back inside this cavity until it can't move anymore. And then these two antennas are going to end up going into these little like notches here. There's like little tiny nooks that the antennas will go into. And this is probably the scariest part of this, but yeah, once you get it lined up, and then you can kind of see right there, that's where they kind of sit. But then you want to make sure all these tabs tab in here at the top. And then there's a couple tabs here and here that will tab into the front of the chest. And then for the arms, you just want to open up, bend the elbow forward, and then fold out the fist, kind of like on SS-86 Optimus. And there is Silverbolt. Let's go ahead and give him his gun in robot mode. And he looks great. I do wish that the Autobot logo was on the middle of his chest and not up here. I understand they did it up here for the combined mode, but I really wish they would have put it here instead. And then maybe put a separate one on the combined chest, but we'll get to that later. Yeah, this guy looks great. A few size comparisons with non-aerial bots. We're going to go ahead and get our SS-86 Optimus, our Legacy Bombshell, and then we're going to go ahead and pull in our SS-86 Starscream, so you can see how he looks with another Voyager jet. Well, I mean, he's a commander class, but the robot itself is Voyager size. So yeah, there he is with a couple other figures. Go ahead and get these guys out. And then for our aerial bot size comparisons, here he is with Air Raid and Slingshot. I don't want Slingshot's feet done. Okay. So yeah, there he is with the deluxe aerial bots, and you see he's more of an off gray color versus the bright white that the other aerial bots are. And I like the difference in color here, so it's not all just, you know, one uniform color. I like that, you know, he's a bit different, and then these guys are a brighter white, you know, so like the body of Superion is gonna be a different color than the guys who are attached to it, just to have that bit of color separation. I do like that a lot, but they look good together. They do definitely look like they jumped right off of the G1 cartoon, with a little bit of added detail, but yeah, these guys look really good. Now, going into articulation for Silverbolt, his head is on a ball joint, and it will swivel all the way around. This panel here does wiggle a little bit, but nothing that you can get any articulation out of. He does look up a little bit, and he looks down slightly. Very, very limited in up and down, and then he can actually go to this, you know, get the confused waggle a little more than he can go up and down. Speaking of going up and down, let's go ahead and lift our camera up so we can see a little bit better. Shoulders are on a universal, so it goes 360 degrees around and then out that far. That's all you're going to get out of the shoulders. The bicep is on a mushroom peg swivel, and the elbow can bend past 90 degrees like so. Nothing at the wrist, just due to the way it folds back in. They didn't add another panel to make it rotate or anything. Waist rotation is there. It kind of gets caught on something, but it is there. He can rotate his waist. Hip skirts can come up to allow for forward motion all the way. Backward is going to be pretty much that. So, more than what you'd need, but not quite as much as you'd want. They are on a soft ratchet here. This one makes a lot less noise. So very, very inconsistent, but soft ratchets. He has a just friction split, full Van Dam. We already saw he has a thigh swivel due to during the transformation. We saw that. He's got a 90, I think a little more than 90 degrees at the knee here. Let me check. I think it's about 90 degrees there, and then if you want to go further, you can use that secondary joint for the transformation to get a little more. It breaks up the sculpt a little bit here, but it's not too bad. Ankles can rock forwards on that joint, but it's there and then there. There's a lot of locking, like 3 locking points here. So yeah, there's a lot of distance between that locking point. So you wouldn't want to really use that for any kind of articulation. But he does have a nice ankle rocker in. So it's on this big panel though, so it kind of looks weird. It kind of breaks the sculpt up a lot, but just the way he's engineered, that's kind of how they had to do it. And it locks into place. So it locks in. So you do have to unlock it if you want to, put him in a A stance. So that's about it for the robot mode. We'll go ahead and now bring in all this hunk, and so this has a base mode, and it's not great, but it's something you can do with it. Same way how Motormaster had base mode for his trailer parts. First thing we want to do though is flip these in, and then take off this. It's just tabbed in with a 5mm peg here, and then there's little slots here that this little block here fits in. Then we want to open this up, pull that back, and then open this piece up. And then this whole section will come off. We'll set this back here like that. And then with this, what we want to do is rotate here all the way around 180, like so, so that when you look at this section from this angle, you have these 2 slots protruding out here. And then we want to take this piece and just fold it up as far as it'll go, and then make sure this is clipped in, and then bring this piece down as far as it'll go. And then these protrusions here will attach to these tabs on the armor here, or on the base, whatever. And so that attaches like that, and it doesn't sit level. I guess you could probably angle it a little bit. If you angle it much though, it tries to fall off. So it just doesn't sit level. And we can take this gun, flip out the barrel, and then these 2 cutouts here will go onto these tabs up here at the top. And so he can kind of man this battle station. It's more of a battle station than a base mode, I guess. It's pretty cool. So that's about it for that mode. So weapon storage, though, he does have weapon storage. You take this gun, and this tab here will fit into these slots here. And so you can just tab this on his back. It tabs in nice and securely. You can't fold the wing all the way back up, but you know, it's somewhere you can store his weapon. And to go further from that, this weapon I'll actually also store. That's what these tabs are for. That's the only use for these tabs, is to store onto his back. And so you just pull this out and then store that there onto his back. And there's both of those weapons stored on him. Yeah, so pretty neat that they included a little bit of weapon storage. I do appreciate that. I'll take those off. Alright, so now the bit we all are waiting for, the kind of super robot Superion combination frame mode. And I'm going to attach the other two aerial bots that we have as well. And then once the other two come in, we'll do a final review, but I'm just going to show how everything is attaching. The other two will also attach in the same exact way because they're all remolds of each other. So it's very much going to be a it's very much going to be the same, but I don't really want to do a full review of the combined mode until we finally get those other two. So we'll go ahead and take a look here. And once we remove this, we're going to pull these side sections off. And we're just splitting this all up into all of its individual parts. Okay. So starting with the legs, focus. You bring this panel, and it clips in very loudly. There's a strong clip right there. Yeah, so it clips in very securely. And we'll bring this part up, and there's a locking tab here, which is really neat that they did a locking tab for this, so that it doesn't sink back in from the weight of the combiner. So that locks that securely, and I'm pushing it down with a lot of force, and it's not doing anything, so that's really cool. I like that they engineered locking tabs in here. We're going to bring up this combiner post, and then we're going to bring down this foot, and it will also clip into place. And that is this leg done. That's the left leg. Same thing on the other side, but opposite. So we're going to take this, and that's a very loud clip. It's not tight, but it's just a very loud clip once this piece here clips into that square. Yeah. Anyway, bring this up and push in this lock tab, and then bring out the combiner piece and bring out the foot, and there is the right leg. The arms, this will be the right arm. So the right arm is on this side of the thing with the left leg, and the left arm is attached to the right leg. But yeah, flip out this fist, flip this swing in, and just open this up like we did on Motormaster's combined mode Menasor. Same thing with the arms, they're engineered almost exactly the same. And then once again, do the same thing over here, pull out this fist, fold that wing down, and fold this out. And same thing here. These do tab in more securely than on Menasor, so that's really good that they learned from the weak connections on Menasor. So I like that they've made these more secure. And then finally the torso bit here. I'll bring these thighs down and then rotate the connection joint. And then bring up the chest and bring it all the way out. And then same with this clip here on the back, we're going to bring that all the way out. Okay. We'll go ahead and set the limbs off to the side here. And then we'll bring in Silverbolt now. And Silverbolt's going to transform back basically into his jet mode, except we're not touching any of the stuff on the backpack. So basically, he'll turn into the block that was on the bottom of the jet. Alright, so to start, we're going to go ahead and fold his arms back up, fold his fist in, and then fold the elbow backwards. Go ahead and open up the chest, pull it all the way down, and then we'll flip out the combined mode head, flip in the robot head, fold in both the arms, and then bring this down a little bit so we can bring this up. And then there's a tab on the front of this neck panel here that will tab into the neck panel on Silverbolt's head. And so it locks that into place very securely. And then to further lock it into place, the legs have tabs on them as well. So I'll bring this up at this angle here, and then bring up there. And that will line this up for us so that we can just use those two hinges now to just push this straight on and tab all that into place, and then bring his foot down. So once again, bring this around like so. We're going to go one click on this top joint, fold this other joint so this is at 90, and bring that down. Bring this up to line the arm up with the slot. There's a big old hole here, so we'll line the arm up with that, and then use both of these joints in tandem to push that in like so, and then flip this joint down. And we'll turn the head around, and there is the block. So to connect it with the torso, we do need to pull this backpack out of the way just a little bit. So we'll bring this up, and then bring this up just like that. And that is so that we can bring this in, and I kind of like to line this 5mm post up with the little port there on the back of this waist. So I like to line that up first, and then bring this forward, and it tabs on. There's two tabs right here. They'll tab into slots here. And then we'll want to bring the backpack back in. So here's where it's kind of difficult. Hold on. I think what we want to do is actually, before we plug this back in, get that above there, and then use that to actually plug it in. There we go. That's a lot easier. And we'll bring this nose cone section back, lock that into place. And then we can take this whole chest assembly, and it's going to come up, lock in here, and then there's these two big squares here and these little tabs here on the sides that'll plug into corresponding slots and everything. So once all that's tabbed together, it's nice and solid. And there's the torso. And then just like with Menasor, we bring in our legs, Combiner Wars style. They'll just tab on, like so. And then now we need to bring it all the way up. And then the arms are the same kind of bracket that goes over these blocks. And so here is Superion. Superion without all of the other aerial bots, and it looks really good. It's a really good looking frame. I do wish that these were like, panels that would be closed and then you can just attach everything, but I do like the closing doors also. So it's kind of a either or would have been nice, but this is the way that they're doing these combiners, which is really cool. So yeah, he looks really good. He looks like he just came right off the cartoon. The same, this is all painted here. Like this whole chest piece is painted, which is really cool. And then like there's red, and then that off-white, which matches perfectly with the plastic color. Is just fantastic. Same with this yellow here that matches the plastic color here. I mean, you can tell the difference between paint and plastic, but the color's spot on. There's a bit of inconsistency with the red though. Like this is a bit darker than this red. This is a lot brighter on the ABS versus on the more flexible. Is it POM? I think it's POM material that they use here. Same with these hip skirts here. They're a little bit darker than the ABS that they use. Around the back, very clean. Just, in this configuration so far. I know a lot of people are, complaining about how the legs are going to look, but honestly, once I show you the way air raid attaches, I'll just show like what I see here, because I don't think it's egregious. Yeah, so it looks really good. But now we can go ahead and incorporate the other two aerial bots now. So I'm going to go ahead and detach these arms and leg. And so I'll go ahead and bring this down because we don't need to be at the high level. Alright, so with the leg, I've already configured air raid into his leg mode. We'll pull his guns off, because I like to store the guns inside the leg because there's room to do that. So we'll take him and these two 5mm posts and these two slots here. They'll just, go on to these posts here and then these tabs. So you want to use his ankles here. This will push in this panel here. And then everything tabs in very nicely and securely. And there is room that you can put the wings facing down, and that's what I prefer. I think it looks a little bit better. But yeah, so that's how the leg bots will incorporate. And like I said, due to these hinges down here, I like to bring this down like so, and then just throw the guns inside the leg for storage. And I think that works pretty well. So yeah, that's how he will attach here. And it looks like a lot here. But I'm going to reattach it to the big robot in a minute, and you'll see that it's not really any further out than his regular backpack. With this, though, we want to go ahead and fold this back up. And this is really tight. I don't understand why this is so tight, but a lot of these tab slots connections are very, very tight. And I don't know if I need to just shave something down a little bit or, just deal with it. But I did have to go in here and shave down the connection in here because this tab here just doesn't seem to push all the way in to get it to unclip, which is kind of a bummer. And it would make this really sickening noise every time I went to detach everything. So what I've done is I've gone in and, done a little work in here on this inside joint, just to fix that. So adult collectors, that might be something you need to do. So yeah. But anyway, this tab will push in on that button there, and then all these other little tabs will attach to different slots here. And so everything lines up and tabs in, and like I said, it's very, very tight. Yeah, once everything's attached, now it's going to unlock this joint here in the middle, and it comes undone. Just like on the Stunticons. So, and then lock into place like so. And there is our slingshot arm. And then we'll bring in the rest of the combined mode attach here. And then we'll put him up here on top. Then we'll go ahead and look at this angle here because, like I said, it does stick out a little bit more. And you can remedy that by, you know, bringing this nose cone up a little bit, like that. But it really doesn't come out much further than the backpack proper. So, I don't think it's too big of a deal. I thought it was going to be more egregious than that, but it's really not. And anyway, there he is so far with everything we've got. We can go ahead and take a look at the guns though real quick. I forgot to cover this, but this port here has a little tab on it, and it plugs in to the big gun like that. Now there's a handle here, and so you can flip that handle out, and then this square post will go over the square post on his wrist, and then the handle goes into the hand. That's a very tight connection too, and that's one way he can hold the weapon, which is nice. The other way he can hold the weapon is by detaching and then flip that peg back in, and then using this square post solely on this square, or the square post onto the square hole. It goes into the square hole, like so, and then you have the more cartoon accurate where he's not holding it in his hand, he's actually just attached to his wrist. So yeah, we'll look more at this guy when we get everybody, but that's so far my review of Silverbolt. If you love Silverbolt, he is a good standalone figure. He is well articulated, he scales well with everybody, and then all of the aerial bots look really good so far. Then if you're getting it for the combined mode, obviously you want to get him, because he's the core of the combined mode. That said, this guy is a definite recommend for me. I love this figure. I thought he was fantastic. I just got him. But I feel like he's one of the best figures I've gotten so far this year. Just Silverbolt alone, and then the combined mode is just great so far. Now I can't wait to finish this guy and then get started on the next combiner. Yeah, so once we get the rest of the guys, we'll do a full in-depth review of Superion. It'll either be on the Skydive review or the Firefly review, but we will do a full in-depth review of the combined mode altogether. So once we have everybody combined. So yeah, this has been my review of Silverbolt from Age of the Primes. He's a fantastic figure. I definitely recommend go out and get him. He's just absolutely great. So this has been Weston and Weston's Toys and Collectibles, and I'd like to thank you all for watching, and until next time, till all are one.